as you can see, it's really not that difficult of a process. It takes a little time, like I said, and it takes a little time not to be so heavy-handed. You don't want to be heavy-handed with this type of a project, and the reason you don't want to be heavy-handed is, like I said, you don't want to cover up the mortar lines. That's the idea behind this. I know some folks don't care about mortar lines. Some people don't make it a priority. But for those of us who like our buildings to look somewhat like the real thing, you know, I mean, when somebody sits there and says, "Oh man, I just can't make my buildings look," well, you got to paint the building, number one. You know, that's a given. You got to paint the building if you want it to look anywhere near right. And that includes wood buildings, brick buildings, and in this instance, of course, we're making we're working with a brick structure. As most roundhouses were built of bricks. I realize that there were wooden roundhouses in various parts of the country. Now remember, a railroad's going to be very conservative on the money spent. So they're going to get the bricks that maybe a brick company has on hand. They're not going to worry about how pretty the roundhouse looked, you know, or how uniform the brick was. They'll worry about that they would worry about that on a major station or on their corporate offices. They weren't going to worry about that on a roundhouse, because the roundhouse was a dirty shop, you know, with lots of heavy work going on the locomotives in them and things of that nature. So you just didn't have, and since this is a pre-built building, which a lot of people end up with, you always want to make sure that you have to get up under the eaves. You're going to get paint on the windows, especially on a pre-built building. You're going to get paint on the window frames. You're going to get paint on the roof. You're going to get paint everywhere. This is where the touch-up comes in, and you know, a lot of there'd be a lot of excess repainting later. But you see, now I'm already going to the other side of the roundhouse, and I'm going to start over here now. And this, of course, has got the side that's got the boiler house attached to it. I guess I should have waited to attach that boiler house. That is one thing I did put on there, because the previous owner had it like in two parts. But as you can see, it's not hard to do at all. Just takes a little bit of time, but you'll have a better looking building in the end, and that's what you want to have, is a better looking building in the end. You know, just like when building a model, you want to have, you got to just learn to be patient, take your time, and you know, take the pains with it, because it'll be well worth it in the end. When you're done, you'll have a building, you'll be able to look at that building with a little bit of pride. And say, I did that. This brings us to a close for this episode. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. And then in the next episode, we're going to paint the concrete work, which seems to permeate around this particular roundhouse model. And I'll show you how that we'll do the concrete and possibly even the roof in that episode. So until next time, you know, paint yourself a brick building, do the walls, and happy railroading.